It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. From the 2015 EP Satan's Tomb, that is Denner Shermann with a song called New Gods. And on the line right now, we've got one of those new gods. You know him, of course, from Mercyful Fate, and now you're getting to know him from this new band simply called Denner Shermann. It is guitarist Hank Shermann. Hank, how are you, man?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Well, Hank, gotta say, man, a lot of excitement around this band. You know, people are really excited to see you back out there and you know, see you continuing on your metal legacy.
Yeah, I think me and Michael are, going back to, where we started back in the early 80s. That's basically our mission, and that's the way I'm doing my songwriting anyway. So, it feels pretty natural to do all what we're doing now, and everyone has really having really good reviews on the EP, and everyone seems to be really like happy and excited that we are back out again, if you will. So that of course motivate us even more.
Sure. Now let's go back a little bit, Hank, because I didn't get to talk to you when you did when you first released the EP. So maybe talk a little bit about what made you bring this band together and how the different guys that are in the band with you came to be part of the band.
Yeah, me and Michael had the idea that since we were nearing the 30 years anniversary for the Mercyful Fate album, Melissa, were coming up, then we said, maybe we should do something special for our fans. And then we decided to make a video for YouTube, sitting down, playing a few, all the riffs from the album. And then we released that one, and it was really received well. In that process, getting back together, playing the old songs, that's kind of how the idea surfaced of, why not form a new band? Mm-hmm. And then before we did the Don't Break Those 30 years anniversary, we already was, set on the idea. We made an announcement that me and Michael are back together and all that. So, and Sean was, within 2 days after that announcement, Sean, he was shooting me an email saying, hey, I'm Sean from Cage. I'm playing, speed metal, heavy metal. If you ever consider, a new thing, I would certainly be interested. So we, picked him up on that and checked him out on a few of the recordings and say, hey, this guy have all the ingredients that me and Michael are looking for. Has to be a singer with a personal, tone, a signature. Has to be someone who can do high pitched screams. Someone who could do melodic, someone who is a good front figure, and someone who is smart. I mean, meaning dealing with the press and, all that. It's very important parts of being a front singer, right? Or a front guy. So we, within a week, we already had one song, completed. And I had a song that I got a call from some of the Megadeth guys asked me if I could do a song that, write them a song, that were kind of similar to some Mercyful Fate type of, feel. But they ended up having some internal, issues and stuff. So I just decided to use that song and send that to Sean. And that actually ended up to become the Satan's Tomb song. So, I mean, and then we were right into it. And from there on, we have never looked back.
Sure.
Back, yeah. So
definitely. Now, Hank, I got to ask you. Certainly, everybody knows you most from Mercyful Fate and working with King Diamond. How is this process different than working with King Diamond? Because I'll just tell you, as an outsider that's not been in any of your band practices, it is assumed that the King comes in with everything and then you guys kind of play around what he does, where I assume with this you work much more as a band. Is that close to true?
Nah, back in the days, what we are doing here and the way we compose songs and create them, that's exactly a duplicate of what was going on 35 years ago. So, I'm the main songwriter creating the music. Then I hand that over to Sean. He would, do his stuff, lyrics and get ideas. And then he would, we ping pong on that. Back in the days, the only difference is that we, back then we were same city. We were rehearsing 6 days a week. King was sitting in the corner, with his writing block, writing on a piece of paper ideas, and then after the band had been maybe practicing the song, 5 or 6 times, he would get to the microphone and test a few of the ideas. So that is how it works. I was working back then, and this is exactly how it's working now. So there's absolutely no difference of how I created the songs now, today, or 40 years, 35 years ago.
Okay.
So
excellent. Well, Hank, looking at the new record, as you mentioned Sean a couple of times. Of course, that's our good friend Sean Peck from Cage, and he's also in a band called Death Dealer, which is out there, as well. Now, is that a concern for you and for Michael, as far as the fact that Sean has two significant other bands as well as Denner Shermann?
Yeah, at this point of our, let's say, beginning of our career with Denner Shermann, we don't know. I mean, that must be a problem that Sean has to figure out if it ever gets a problem. But of course, I mean, having too many bands, that's my personal view. If you're having too many bands, you will not really be maybe that accepted or respected. If you spread you out too much, then people have a difficult, to nail you to one band. So, but I mean, Sean is, so if anyone can pull it off, it would definitely be Sean. But I mean, he has to deal with if that gives him issues, with clashing calendar, we got a show with Cage there, but, unfortunately, we also got the same date with Denner Shermann. And by the way, Death Dealer, that is going to be his issue. And we will, of course, react and act on what we have to do in case it gets a problem for the band or a problem for Sean. But right now, it's like really like tight, and we have done, a tremendous, great album, I think. And I think that should be a nice focus for everyone into the future.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about that album for a little bit, Hank. The new album is called Masters of Evil. The one thing that I noticed from the press, and I have not heard the record other than the one song, Angel's Blood, at this point. The one thing I got from the press, though, is it says that it does take some different turns from what you've done previously. So what exactly do you feel is different about this album from the EP, or from what people are going to compare you about, to?
Yeah, that was, one thing is a press release, you can always, put a little extra something in there, but, different. I think that the main definition of the Denner Shermann band is that our songwriting style, especially me and Michael, being like guys from back then, we are basically coming out from the 70s, late 70s, going into the 80s with all the, heavy metal being born there. So what we can bring into the band Denner Shermann is, of course, that authentic songwriting that, basically comes from the 70s and the 80s.
Okay.
So that is like, at least a definition of Denner Shermann band. I don't know if something special. Every song on this album is different from each other. We don't have, let's say, 8 painkiller tracks or something like that. We have, everyone has a different style, within the heavy genre, and we're going anything from really heavy Black Sabbath type of riffing and going into painkiller riff type Judas Priest, so. We are huge Judas Priest fans, especially from the 70s albums. So, I mean, it is like, our influences from when we started as musicians ourselves, and then, of course, our signature we have as songwriters, with Mercyful Fate, obviously. And that is also what we bring into the band. Me and Michael have a sound. That sound people have heard before, and, obviously that is Mercyful Fate. So, hopefully that will please a lot of people. Loyal fans are really have been really nice to us, with this new band here.
Sure. Now, the one thing that I noticed too is that you're working with your longtime friends over at Metal Blade, and I'm assuming Brian Slagle. What was the process to get back on board with with Metal Blade or with Brian? Did you just make a call and say, "Hey, we're doing something," and he immediately said, "Come on in," or did you have to submit it and have him listen to it, or how did that work?
Yeah, you know, we Mercyful Fate actually signed a contract with Metal Blade in 1992, and a contract that basically still exists. So I were already on contract with Metal Blade, with the Mercyful Fate contract,
Mm-hmm.
and then me and Michael decided to do this band. We said, okay, let's do an EP to start with. That would be a good appetizer to work up the band. And we started, sponsoring the studio time ourselves. And in that process, while actually recording and the EP, we hand some of the pre-production songs over to Brian Slagle and say, hey Slagle, this is what me and Michael are doing. How about it? And to our pleasantly surprise, he went back and said, cool, I'm onto it. And then we had our manager and the lawyer and all that, typical stuff, worked out a cool deal. And, so that was like right on time before we, were to release the EP ourselves. So they took over, paid for all the expenses and all that. And everyone was happy. And so that is like a family. I mean, Michael has all, with Merciful Fate back in the days, we were out in Simi Valley back then and, meeting all the staff members of Mesoblade, and
Mm-hmm.
Brian Slager has always been around us, for 20, 25 years now. So, and King Diamond is signed to Mesoblade, Merciful Fate is signed to Mesoblade, and now Dennis Sherman is signed to Mesoblade. So it is like a kind of a family company, kind of.
Sure, definitely is. Now, Hank, going forward with the release of the new record, what does it look like for you as far as your ability to get out there and tour now? I know you mentioned a couple of dates. Are you going to try and do only festivals? Are you going to try and tour the states at all? What are you looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have two confirmed festivals. One in Denmark on July 8th, and we have in Hamburg, North Germany. We have Headbangers Open Air on July 29th, and then we have decided to try and make a European tour in September, a US tour in October, and then maybe go to South America in November. But that all depends on how the budget looks, right? So maybe we need the album to get out there in order for us to maybe get better fees. Any promoter booking agent, like club will of course have a hold up against us that oh yeah, but you only have an EP out, 4 songs, and you only played one concert. So maybe we need to have that album out and the video out in order to position our better, in order to get everything to work for us, because we cannot just go out on a tour if it's like you have to pay $5,000 each member. That's
Right.
so. But I mean, our booking agent is working on it right now, and hopefully we can confirm something within a month or 6 weeks.
Okay, very cool, man. Well, Hank, I have to ask because everybody, and I'm sure every single interview you're doing is asking, what is the status of Merciful Fate? Is there still a band? Is there now? Obviously, King Diamond is out there touring. Does that open the door for future Merciful Fate shows and whatnot, or are you out of that loop?
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't really closed any doors. I mean, now the fact is that we haven't been together for 17 years now. So,
Mm-hmm.
and since me and Michael now have launched this band, that is like our 100% full focus.
Sure.
King Diamond is out touring now, and after that he's going into recording, his first full length album in over 10 years. So we both have really like high priority focus. But on the other hand, as a fan of Merciful Fate, now you have two bands you can, go and
Right.
look at, and then get a little taste of, how some of the original members, play some of the songs. So of course we play Merciful Fate songs in our set. King Diamond plays Merciful Fate songs. Whether there will be a reunion or come back out in the future, I mean that would be an interesting thing. But for now, I think we have to deal with what we have going here, and then look into it further down the road.
Sure. Well, for now, what people can look forward to is the brand new release from the band Denner Shermann. That record is called Masters of Evil. I guess I shouldn't even call it a record anymore. That release is called Masters of Evil. And Hank, we're going to end this interview with the song Angel's Blood, which is I guess it's the first single from the record. What can you tell me about this song?
That song we definitely specifically chose to be the opener for the album, because we didn't want to start out too aggressively. We didn't want to start out too complicated, so this one is like a cool grooving, old school classic metal song. Pretty straightforward, but of course, me and Michael show all our signature styles and sound, and Sean shows his abilities of going different places with his voice, and so that is that was our strategy, and we have used that before also back in the days. I mean, we started out with songs that are more, maybe generally more appealing, more like the hardcore songs that might be too complicated for some metal listeners. So that's a history of why it's number one, on the album.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. This is Denner Shermann. This is brand new stuff from Masters of Evil, and this one is called Angel's Blood right here on your Classic Metal Show.